All right, let's look up. So what we are going to be doing today is past questions, repeated questions. There are some topics in biology that are very, very important. If you check, questions will not come from, questions are not concentrated in some topics. So I'm going to be taking some topics that are JAMB concentrated. So we are going to be starting with food classes and food tests. So we'll be looking at repeated questions in food classes and food tests. So basically what we are going to be doing is, I'll read out the question and we'll discuss the answer together. All right, so number one, question one here says, a sugar solution was boiled with Fehling solutions. A sugar solution was boiled with Fehling solutions A and B, Fehling solutions A and B, and the color remained blue. Full stop. The sugar tested was dash. A says glucose, B says maltose, C says fructose, and D says sucrose. All right, before we answer this, let me say something. For those of you that will be following online, this is a live class for my JAMB students, so it will not be like my normal recording when I just go to the board and shoot. So this is a live class from my JAMB lessons, so you can join us and learn. But if you've not subscribed, I don't know why you didn't pay for the class and you've not subscribed. All right, let's go on. So the question says Fehling solution A and B. You added Fehling solutions A and B to sugar. Now, after adding the Fehling solution, the sugar tested remained blue. So we are given options. What do you think is the correct answer here? Sucrose is the answer, right? Sucrose is the correct answer. Now, Fehling's solution is test for what? Fehling's solution is used to test for reducing sugars. Is used to test for reducing sugars. And all monosaccharides and disaccharides except sucrose are reducing sugars, right? So glucose is a reducing sugar and it will have given a positive test, right? What is the positive test for Fehling's reagent? The color is what? Reddish brown. So if the color have changed to reddish brown, then you know that the test is positive. You know it's a reducing sugar. So for the color to remain blue, it means that sugar present is not a reducing sugar. Glucose is a reducing sugar. Maltose is a reducing sugar. Fructose is a reducing sugar, but sucrose is not a reducing sugar. So take note that all monosaccharides are reducing sugars. All disaccharides also, except what? Except sucrose is a reducing sugar. And positive test of Fehling solution is what? What color? Reddish brown. Reddish brown. So the answer to that question is sucrose. All right. Now, question number two. Question number two. Human beings require vitamins in their diet because vitamins dash. Human beings require vitamins in their diet because vitamins dash. A. Contain carbohydrates and fats. B. Prevent kwashiorkor. C. Stimulate the alimentary canal. D. Influence many important chemical processes in the body. What's the answer to that question? Influence many important chemical processes in the body. Is that correct? Is that correct? It says what? C. Stimulate the alimentary canal. No, the correct answer is influence many important chemical processes in the body. So vitamins, the function of the role of vitamin in the body is to influence many chemical processes in the body. How? Most vitamins serve as coenzymes. They assist enzymes in carrying out their function. And all the metabolic activities taking place in the body are catalyzed by what? By enzymes. All right. So the answer to that question is influence many important chemical processes in the body. Can we move on? Question 3. In testing for glucose, the necessary reagent and the condition under which the reagent reacts best are dash. A. Fehling's reagents. I'll use this to explain something. In a neutral or alkaline medium, void. B says Millon's reagent, void. C says Fehler's reagents in acid medium, heated. And D says iodine solution, void. So before you give me your answer, the question says in testing for glucose, the necessary reagent and the condition under which the reagent reacts best are dashed. So what is the answer to this question? Huh? You said A, B, C, or D? You said A. First, Fehler's reagent is used for what? Test for what? Reducing sugars, right? Is glucose a reducing sugar? Yes. First of all, if you are doing something like this, you can just be doing the odd one out first. Then you'll be left with one or two options. You know you are testing for glucose. Millon's reagent is used to test for what? Proteins, right? So Millon's reagent is out. This B is out. Iodine is test for what? Starch, right? Not glucose. This one is out also. So you are left with A and B. You see, you've eliminated two. You are left with A and B. So Fehler's reagent in the neutral or alkaline medium, Fehler's reagent in acidic medium, heated. Now, the best medium. We already know that Fehler's reagent is the answer, right? But which medium? The best medium for that test is in neutral or acidic or alkaline medium, void. So the answer to the question is A. So if you're carrying out this test, you also always make sure that the pH is either at 7, pH 7, or it's above pH 7. That is alkaline medium. All right, and it is void. So that's the answer to that question. Next question. This one, listen attentively. If Benedict's solution gives a positive result, let me clean this. If Benedict's solution gives a positive result in a food test, the food contains A, sugar, B, protein, C, oil, D, fat. So if Benedict's solution gives a positive result in a food test, the food contains what? Please, anyone you're not okay with, ensure you are writing them. The food contains what? Benedict's test is test for what? Benedict's test is test for what? Reducing sugars, right? Is it not? Fehler's test is also test for what? Reducing sugars. Fehler's test is test for reducing sugars. Benedict's test is test for reducing sugar also. So this is for reducing sugar. So what's the answer to this question? Sugar. You don't use Benedict's test for protein. You don't use Benedict's test for oil. You don't use Benedict's test for fat. So the answer to this question is actually sugars. Do you understand? The next question, let me see who will be fast enough to answer this one. Let me see who will be fast enough to answer this one. In the enzymatic reaction, then they give this. In the enzymatic reaction, starch to give sugar. Then under the arrow they wrote amylase. Starch is referred to as the dash. Without the option, who can answer? Starch is referred to as the dash. Yes? Starch is referred to as the dash. Okay, let me give you the option. A says substrate. B says product. C says enzyme. Please take note of all these things. You don't know the one you meet that day. D says enzyme, substrate, complex. So what's the answer to this question? Starch is a what? Is a substrate. Now, if you look at this, anytime you're writing a reaction, the one on your left hand side is your reactant, right? And this is your product, is it not? Now, this starch here is a substrate. The substance undergoing reaction, the reactant is always a what? Substrate. And what is formed from the substrate is always a what? Is always a what? The product. So sugar here is a what? Is a product of the reaction. What of amylase? The enzyme, right? Is the enzyme. So if amylase and if you have something like this, starch and amylase combined together, what will you call this? Enzyme substrate complex. This enzyme, this substrate, the complex is formed. In fact, for catalysis to take place, for a product to be formed, the substrate and the enzyme must bind together to form this intermediate enzyme substrate complex before product is formed. But the question that we asked was, starch is what? Starch is what? Is the substrate of this reaction. So starch is the substrate. This is the enzyme and this is the product. So anytime they ask to identify the substrate, anyone undergoing the reaction is the substrate. This is the product. All right. Next question. Next question. If an organic compound has its hydrogen to oxygen ratio as 2:1, if an organic compound has its hydrogen to oxygen ratio as 2:1, it is likely to be a dash. It is likely to be a dash. A, protein. B, carbohydrates. C, fat. D, fatty acid and glycerol. So if the hydrogen to oxygen ratio is 2:1, then the organic compound is likely to be what? Look at it very well. If the hydrogen to oxygen ratio is 2:1, is it a protein? What's the building block of protein? Amino acids, right? And amino acid, the general formula for amino acid is like this. This is the general formula for amino acid. Is the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen 2:1? Is hydrogen 2, then oxygen 1 here? No. Because this is the building block, so this is out of it. Carbohydrate, give me one example of carbohydrates, Glucose, right? What's the formula for glucose? C6H12O6. This is the molecular formula, right? From the molecular formula, if you want to get the empirical formula, we just divide by the highest thing that can divide all, right? What's the highest thing that can divide all? 6 can go into everything here now. So if 6 go into 6, what would we have? 1, right? Let me just write the 1, but you're not supposed to write 1. If 6 go into 12, how many times? 2 times. 6 go into how many times? 6 go into 6, how many times? Now, what's the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen here? 2:1. 2:1. So what's the answer to this question? Carbohydrates. Because the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen is 2:1, and you can. So you see what I did now. Even if you didn't know the answer to this question, you know carbohydrate. Oh, carbohydrate. Give me one example of carbohydrate. You know the formula. You now check the hydrogen and oxygen to tell your answer. Do you get that? All right. The next question here. This one you have to take notes. This one I would like you to write it down. A mixture of mercurous and mercuric nitrates. A mixture of mercurous and mercuric nitrates is added to a food substance. Is added to a food substance. Full stop. A white precipitate is formed. which on gentle heating turns red. The food substance is dash. A mixture of mercurous and mercuric nitrates is added to a food substance. Full stop. A white precipitate is formed, which on gentle heating turns red. The food substance is dash. A says protein, B oil, C carbohydrates, D fat. So what's the answer to that question? What's the answer? Carbohydrates? No. First of all, you ask yourself, a mixture of mercurous nitrate and mercuric nitrate will give you what? If you mix mercurous nitrate and mercuric nitrates together, what you have is Millon's reagent. And Millon's reagent is used to test for what? Protein. So the answer is what? It's protein. Because Millon's reagent is this plus this. This plus this will give us Millon's reagent. And Millon's reagent is used to test for protein. So protein is the answer to that question. Protein is the answer to that question. Alright, can we move on? Next question. In a Biuret test, do you call it Biuret or Biuret? See what I'm talking about here. In a Biuret test, some protein was mixed with sodium hydroxide solution. Which of the following chemicals should be added to the mixture for a positive result? Some protein was mixed with sodium hydroxide. Now, which of the following chemicals should be added to the mixture for a positive result? So A says mercurous nitrate, B says copper sulfate, C says mercuric nitrate, and D says sodium carbonate. So what do you think is the answer to this question? Copper sulfate. Why? You're actually correct, but why? You know, I don't like guessing. This looks like the answer. Why are you choosing that? Now, Biuret, Biuret reagent is used to test for what? Protein, right? In the last question, we said mercurous nitrate and mercuric nitrate will give us what? Millon's reagent. So what plus what will give us Biuret reagent? Sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate will give us that. So if you have the protein already and you add sodium hydroxide, for you to add copper sulfate will now react with this to form the Biuret reagent. Do we get? So addition of copper sulfate will give us the positive results. Positive results. Are we there? Next question. A food substance which produces red coloration. A food substance which produces red coloration with Sudan 3 contains dash. What's the answer? Fat and oil. Thank you very much. So A says protein, B sugar, C starch, D fat. So the answer is what? Fat. Sudan 3 test is used to test for fat already. Sudan 3 test. Give me another test that is used to test for fat. Emulsification of fat. But we know of translucent paper test, right? Paper mark test and others. Emulsion test, right? So, all right. So the next question. So Sudan 3 test is for fat. Next question. I want to take just 15 questions on this topic. Then we'll move on to the next topic. or 20. Let me take 20 because I think we've done up to 15. Next question. If calcium is deficient in food, this may cause dash. If calcium is deficient in food, this may cause dash. A. Anemia. B. Retarded growth. C. Sterility. D. Goiter. What do you think is the answer to this question? If calcium is deficient, calcium, we already know that calcium is a strong bone and teeth, right? But if it is deficient, will it cause anemia? A deficiency of what can cause anemia? Deficiency of what? If iron is deficient, it can cause anemia, right? Because iron is part of the hemoglobin, red blood cell. Retarded growth, deficiency of calcium can cause this. Sterility, to be sterile. Different things can cause sterility. Somebody is sterile. Goiter, deficiency of what? Iodine. So the answer to that question is what? Calcium. So deficiency of calcium can cause retarded growth. All right, next question here. Next question. I just mentioned this one now. Okay, not there yet. The main organic substances found in the human body are dash. The main organic substances found in human body are dash. A. Carbohydrates, proteins, and salts. B. Salts, fats, and proteins. C. Fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. D. Salts, fats, and carbohydrates. So what's the answer to this question? C. The question says the main organic substances found in the human body. The answer is actually C. Carbohydrates, yes. Protein, yes. But salt, no. It's not the main. It's one in the body, but main. Salt, fat, no. Fats, carbohydrates, and protein, yes. Salt. So you see, it's salt that is even. In fact, even if you don't know the answer to this question, you just see the one that is this one: carbohydrates and proteins. Yeah. Fats and protein. Carbohydrates and protein. Carbohydrates and fats. Salt is what is making or wrong here. So the answer there is C. How many macromolecules do we have in our body? How many macromolecules do we have? Macromolecules. We have 4 macromolecules. The 4 macromolecules we have are: number 1, protein; number 2, carbohydrates; number 3, lipids. Lipids, that's where fat and oil fall, right? And number 4 is what? Nucleic acid. These are the 4 macromolecules we have. All right. So we'll be moving on to the next question now. Next question. Please take all these questions very serious, because you can meet any of them, and one of them might be your savior in the hall that day to give you the over 300 you need. One of them. The one you don't take serious might be the one you see that day. All right. So, and please listen to my explanation, because I try to tell you the reason behind the answers. And from my explanation, you can actually get an answer to another question, which I didn't even talk about. Okay, so the next question here says, which of the following elements is essential for the formation of hemoglobin? Without option, what is the answer? Iron. Iron is essential for the formation of hemoglobin. Where is hemoglobin found? Hemoglobin is part of the what? It's part of the red blood cell. It's part of the red blood cell. And what's the function of hemoglobin? To transport what? Oxygen. So hemoglobin, the function is to transport oxygen. And iron is part of the hem part of hemoglobin. Alright, so that's that. The next question, the severe deficiency of vitamin C leads to dash. I'll be writing the options for one reason. The severe deficiency of vitamin C leads to dash. A, kwashiorkor. B, beriberi. C, pellagra. D, scurvy. So what's the answer to this question? Scurvy, right? Scurvy, vitamin C deficiency will lead to scurvy. What of pellagra? Vitamin B what? Vitamin B3. Another name for B3 is what? Niacin. Beriberi. Like calling it beriberi. Is deficiency of what? Vitamin what? B what? Vitamin B1. You're just guessing B something. Let's B something. Don't just say vitamin B. Because we have vitamin B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, you have B8, B9 safe. We don't have B10, B12, which is cyanocobalamin. You're supposed to know the name of all of them. There's an acronym for it. Alright, so this is what? I said this is what? Thiamine, right? Thiamine. Alright. Now, this one is deficiency of what? Kwashiorkor is deficiency of what? Protein, right? Deficiency of protein. So the answer to that question is what? Is scurvy, is vitamin C. Scurvy. Scurvy is the answer to that question. Alright. The next question here. The extract form a food substance. Sorry, they made mistake here. Okay, but I think they meant the extract from a food substance reacting with sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate solution. We've seen this type of question before, right? So I'll read it. I'll not give you option, and you answer it for me. The extract from a food substance reacting with sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate solution will produce violet to purple coloration if dash. If what is present? If protein is present, thank you. You know, mixture of copper sulfate plus sodium hydroxide will give us what reagent? Will give us what? Biuret reagent, right? Why mercuric nitrate and mercurous nitrates will give us what? Melons, right? Good. Alright, so copper sulfate is the answer. Is protein. This is a test of protein. So protein is the answer to that question without the option. Alright, next question. The vitamin which is important in the formation of retinal pigments is dash. Which vitamin without the option? Vitamin what? A, right? Remember, vitamin A is good for what? Eyesight, right? And retina is found in the eyes, is it not? Now, if you've seen sometimes in carton of Indomie, you write something like, do something like this and put A here, meaning that Indomie contains vitamin A, and vitamin A is good for your eye. So vitamin A is the answer to that question. Vitamin A. Another name for vitamin A is what? Another name for vitamin A is what? Vitamin A has 3 active forms. What, and what? One is what? Just like we used to say vitamin B1 is thiamine. Vitamin A is what? We used to say retinol, is it not? Retinol, but we have 3 active forms. Retinol, retinal, and what? Retinoic acid. These are the 3 active forms of vitamin C. Or vitamin A, sorry. Another name for vitamin C is what? ascorbic acid. Ascorbic acid. All right. So these are the three active forms of vitamin A. Next question here. Which of the following food substances will produce a brick red color when warmed with Benedict's solution? Which of the following food substances will produce a brick red color when warmed with Benedict's solution? When warmed with Benedict's solution. A says glucose. B says starch. C says egg white. D says maltose. What's the answer to this question?
Glucose.
Glucose. Benedict's test is a test of what? Reducing sugar. You said reducing sugar, right? Is this one a reducing sugar?
Yeah.
Is this one a reducing sugar? This is also a reducing sugar, man. Because it said all monosaccharides are reducing sugars. All disaccharides except what? Sucrose are reducing sugars. So what is the answer to that question? Which of the following food substances will produce a brick red color when warmed with Benedict's solution? So he says what? Glucose. Why not maltose? Why not maltose? He said. Why not maltose? Anybody that gets it right, whether you write JAMB or not, you've gotten 399. Why not maltose? It can also be used to test for maltose, is it not? But the reaction medium is very important. When warmed with, we saw one question that you said boiled. For disaccharides, maltose is a disaccharide. It needs intense heating for that reaction to take place. This one is just a monosaccharide, so mild heating, warming, can actually make that reaction to take place. So when warmed with Benedict's reagent, the answer is glucose here. Alright, so the reaction medium is very important. So the answer to that question is still glucose. Next question. The elements common to protein, carbohydrate, and lipid is dash. I will not give you option. The element that is common to protein, carbohydrate, and lipid is what? This one, you don't have to cram it all. Just think of one protein. Think of the building block. Then check the formula. Think of carbohydrate. Think of one example of carbohydrate, you write the formula. Then think of which one did I say again? Lipid. You will write the formula of lipid. Then check what is common to all. So what's the answer? Is it carbon? Okay, let's see now. A says hydrogen, B says sulfur, C says nitrogen, D says phosphorus. The answer is what? Hydrogen. Because look at protein. We said the building block of protein is what? Amino acid. If you draw the structure of amino acid, this is the general formula of amino acids, which is the building block of protein. Carbohydrate, give me one carbohydrate, glucose, right? If you draw the structure of glucose, this is the molecular formula of glucose. The next one, lipid. Lipid, we can take which one? Glycerol is not lipid, though it's actually a derived lipid. But glycerol plus fatty acid can give us that. But if you are drawing, let's say, triacylglycerol. Triacylglycerol is like this. This triacylglycerol. If you look at this, what is common among all these things? Carbon is present, right? Hydrogen is present, right? Oxygen is present, right? Is it not? But from the option, what is there? Hydrogen. Because option says the hydrogen, B says sulfur. Some proteins have sulfur, actually. C says nitrogen. Nitrogen is on only here. D says fat and phosphorus. No. So the answer to that question is what? Is hydrogen. Hydrogen. Good. Next question. I told you I'm taking 20 questions. See, I'm having two more B1, say. Then we'll move on to another topic. We'll take 20 questions again. We'll move on to another topic. We'll take 20 questions. That's what we're going to be doing today and see how many topics we can cover. Intravenous chlorosis. Intravenous chlorosis is normally associated with the deficiency of dash. Intravenous chlorosis is normally associated with the deficiency of dash. A says magnesium, B says potassium, C says iron, D says calcium. So what's the answer? Iron. Why do you say iron? First of all, what is intravenous chlorosis? Is what? Okay, it's falling of leaf. It's actually similar. It's actually close. But falling of leaf is actually leaf abscission. But it's for you to mention leaf, it means you have idea. Now, intravenous. You know interhouse spot and intrahouse spot. Interhouse spot, intervein, meaning between veins, right? Good. Now, chlorosis here we are talking about yellowing. Now, you see, actually the veins of the leaf, you know, we have two types of venation, right, of leaves. Net venation and parallel venation. If you have something like this, is this net venation or parallel venation? This parallel venation now, the lines are parallel. Like this. Net venation is that one that used to have zigzag lines everywhere. This parallel venation. Now, in this parallel venation here, or this type of venation, in intravenous chlorosis, the veins here, this vein, this thing you used to see in the leaf, this thing is a vein. The vein will remain green, but the spaces between this vein in these interspaces will become yellow. That is this condition, intravenous chlorosis. The vein will remain green, but these spaces will be yellowish. So this condition, what can cause it? You say the answer is what? Iron. Why? Now let me shock you. Magnesium can cause that. Iron can cause that. So now this question is technical because magnesium causes this intravenous chlorosis in older leaves, while iron is in young leaves. So the question did not specify if it is in old, if the leaf is in old, the chlorosis is in old leaf or in younger leaf. So which one will you choose? Please, the answer, always go with magnesium, because magnesium is the most common cause of this intravenous chlorosis. Please always go with that. But iron can cause that, magnesium can cause that also. Alright, so basically that's that. Basically, that's that. Next question. I think this is the last question, or let me take two bonus questions. Night blindness results from a deficiency of dash. Vitamin what? Vitamin A. Vitamin A. Another name for vitamin A is what? Retinol. Next question. In Millon's test, when the reagent is added to a protein food item, a white precipitate is produced which turns dash. I've read part of that question before. So what's the answer to that question? In Millon's test, when the reagent is added to a protein food item, a white precipitate is produced which turns dash on heating. The white precipitate will turn what on heating? A says blue on heating, B yellow on heating, C green on heating. The way they said this option, so you just know anything they put D is the answer, because it cannot turn blue, it cannot turn yellow, it cannot turn green. So the answer is what? Red on heating. So the answer there is red on heating. Next question. A food substance was treated with a few drops of Sudan 3 solution and a red coloration was obtained. The food contained what? Fat, right? You know Sudan 3 test is test for what? Test for fat. Next question. When specimen X is mixed with few drops of iodine solution, the appearance of a blue-black color confirms that X is what? X is what? I come again. When specimen X is mixed with few drops of iodine solution, the appearance of a blue-black color confirms that X is dash. Starch, right? What if starch is not in the option? Okay, polysaccharide. So is it also starch or glycogen? Because glycogen is a polysaccharide. No. If starch is not there, then the answer is not there. So starch is there. So the answer is what? Starch. Starch. Next question. Which of the following is lacking in the diet of a person with kwashiorkor? Proteins, right? All these things are looking simple question, but they always come with proteins. Next question. When a mixture, let me take this one last. I'm seeing questions I need to read out. When a mixture of a food substance and Benedict solution was warmed, was what? Warmed. The solution changed from blue to brick red. This indicates the presence of dash. What? Glucose is not here. A says fatty acid, B sucrose, C amino acid, D reducing sugars. Reducing sugars. Because Benedict's solution is used to test for reducing sugars. Which of the following, next question, which of the following is a polysaccharide? Poly means what? Many, right? Many sugar units. Which of the following is a polysaccharide? A, glucose, B, sucrose, C, maltose, D, cellulose. Cellulose, right? Glucose is it monosaccharide or a disaccharide? Monosaccharide. Sucrose is what? Remember that if you have something like this, take note of this. So, a simple question they make people see. Hard questions. You already know you are preparing for hard questions. Simple one, the one you overlook, now you get to the hall, you discover that one you forgotten it 3 years ago. Sucrose is what plus what? All of them have glucose, right? Glucose plus what? Plus fructose. Lactose is what plus what? Glucose plus what? Plus galactose. Then maltose is what plus what? Glucose plus glucose. So please take note, these are disaccharides. So the answer to that question is cellulose. Cellulose have D-glucose units linked together by beta 1,4 glycosidic bond. But that's not our business for now. Alright, so next question here. Which of the following is a major cause of constipation in humans? What is constipation? What is constipation? What's constipation? Strong shit, Abi? Yes. If constipation don't do it before, you know that to go to a toilet is a pain gift from God. You'll be praying in the toilet, God, please let this thing fall. So which of the following, what is the question? So which of the following is a major cause of constipation in humans? A, lack of roughage, B, vitamin B, C, vitamin E, D, lack of salt. So what's the answer to that question? Lack of roughages, right? Roughages. Give me an example of where you can get roughages from. Okay, orange. That thing you throw away after licking orange. That part you throw away. Some person you see after they've licked orange, they'll open it and be chewing that thing. Say, I see local human being. They know what they are doing. There's some person they don't even know what they are doing. But that part you throw away is richer than the one you took in. Hope you know. That thing contains fiber, roughages that can prevent constipation. So when you lack roughages, when you lack fiber, you become constipated and you go to the toilet and be praying. And you know that there are some constipation that no matter how you take purging drugs that can purge you, fluid will just be passing from the strong. I've settled the case of constipation before now, so I know what I'm talking about. Next question. When proteins are broken down, they also provide dash. They provide what? Amino acids, because amino acids are the building blocks of what? Proteins. Next question. The deficiency of vitamin D leads to dash. What's the answer? What's the what? Okay, let me read the option. It said when the deficiency of vitamin D leads to dash. A. Scurvy. B. Pellagra. C. Rickets. D. Beriberi. Rickets is the answer, right? Rickets. Scurvy is of vitamin what? Vitamin C. Pellagra is what? B what? I just said it some minutes ago. Pellagra is vitamin B what? Is it B3 or B1? B3. And B3 is what? Niacin. Rickets is of vitamin B, vitamin D. Beriberi is vitamin what? B1. That's by me. Alright. Next question. The deficiency symptoms of iron in human diet is dash. What is it? If iron is deficient, it can cause what? I mentioned it in this class. It can cause what? Anemia. Anemia is the answer. Anemia. Because iron is a component of what? Hemoglobin. Which hemoglobin is a component of what? Red blood cell. Thank you. Next question. I finished up to 37 questions here. Mineral salts in the body, in the animal body, help to dash. Mineral salts in the animal body help to dash. A. Promotes chemical reactions. B. Build new cells and replace old ones. C. Regulates the metabolism. D. Provide the needed energy in the body cells. So what's the answer? Mineral salts in the animal body help to do what? The answer is what now? The answer is B. Build new cells and replace old ones. That's what mineral salts are doing in your body. They help to build new cells and replace old ones. They work hand in hand with vitamins also. The last question which I will take here. The food nutrient with the highest energy value is dash. A says protein, B carbohydrates, C lipid, D minerals. The answer is what? Lipids. You know, lipids, which fat and oil, have more energy value than even carbohydrates. Do you get? So why do we refer to carbohydrate as energy giving food and not lipid as energy giving food? Because the energy in carbohydrate is what is readily available for the body to use. But when carbohydrate is not there, we go to lipids. Through beta oxidation, we break down fatty acids and we get enough energy. Take for example, if you break down palmitic acid is a lipid, is a fatty acid. Palmitic acid has 16 carbon. If you break down palmitic acid, one palmitic acid will give you, I think, 156, if I'm not mistaken, 156 ATPs. While if you break down glucose, after the breakdown of everything, what you get is 38 ATPs. See the difference. It's not 38. It's not, you know, the energy currency of the body is what? ATP. Alright, so basically that's that. So this is where I will end this topic. So we are going to move on to the other topic. For those of you following online, you go and check the other video for the next topic. Alright, so let's see how many topics we can cover. I've said it before. Be doing past questions.